January 30th, 2022.
Okay, so today's January 30th, 2022, 6:49 p.m. Crypto Corner Chat episode 2. And it's going to be me and Adel again this week from the Crypto Corner Chat group. Adel has a pretty extensive background in terms of dealing with geopolitical events. He has a pretty good education when it comes to that. And then I have a self-taught market education. So together we've teamed up, and we're hoping to analyze these markets and see what direction we're going to go so we can make some money. That's the bottom line. Everybody wants to get paid.
Right? That's the hope, right?
Right. Exactly. So let's just, how do you want to start it this week? We can start off with maybe just a quick analysis of the charts, because it looks like Bitcoin's ending today on a pretty, and we're coming into the end of the day here, about 10 minutes. So I'd rather go ahead and just start with the charts.
Well, can I give a shout out real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, first I want to give a shout out to Cincinnati for making the Super Bowl. Obviously, we have to. And I have to give a shout out to University of Kentucky for a heck of a game against Kansas. Awesome performance. And yeah, let's go ahead. Let's roll into it.
Man, I missed it. I was with my kid all day.
It was awesome, man. It was awesome.
All right, let me go ahead and switch over to the charts. We're closing it. The market's going to be closing here on my end in about 9 minutes. So let me switch this over to screen share. See if I can.
Well, while you're doing that, I want to get the audience involved in something, before we delve into it. So there was a suggestion made by a friend and a family member who watched our first program, our first episode, and made a suggestion that, hey, can we break it down into different segments within the full show? So I want the audience's feedback. If you can go ahead and put it in the notes. What do you think? Maybe like we can break it up into thumbnails, 2 or 3 thumbnails, one that covers the technicals, the other one that covers the geopolitical, and then the other one that covers maybe strategy or whatever else we might break it down into. And then you can just, during your leisure, break it down, and it's a 15 to 20 minute listen. So if you can go ahead and put that down in the notes for us. We'd really love your participation, and we want your feedback on that idea from Layla. So go ahead, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right,
yeah, for sure.
Let's roll, man.
Any feedback is good. So we were talking last week. I think it was on this candle right here, on this big red candle, and we were close to the bottom. Can you see my cursor?
Yeah.
So we were close to the bottom here, right around, I can't remember exactly, but I believe it was around in the low 30s, right? So it's like 34, maybe 33. I don't remember the exact amount. And we were saying this kind of looks like, based off everything that we had talked about geopolitically, based off what the charts were looking like, at a minimum, it looked like we were setting up for a bounce. If we did get it, if we went any lower, it would probably just be a quick flush, and then we would end up bouncing from there. Sound about right, doesn't it? From what I remember,
Right.
And it looks like that's pretty much what we're getting with this setup right here. Now, the first thing, when I look at these charts, the first thing that's popping out at me before I do anything else is this candle right here. That's a reversal. That's a sign of that's a bullish close. When you get a wick down like this, and the majority of the body of the candle is this wick, and then you end up with a green hammer, that shows strength back. That shows that the bulls are coming back and they're buying this dip. And that goes along with a lot of the things. If you follow Willy Woo, and if you follow on-chain data. It also goes along with some of the institutions that are coming back in, and
Right.
the bigger whales are starting to step back in, and they're buying here. It also goes along with the Elliott wave count that we talked about last week, that potentially, this could be the end of an ABC pattern, or this. So there's two things going on here, Elliott wave wise. I'll jump right into it. So we talked last week, and we were saying that this is more than likely a one up to here, a two
Right.
back, a three up here. And then we were trying to figure out what this pattern is right here. If this is a four, what is this pattern?
Or that we're in a 5 and we missed the euphoria.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So if this was the 4, then we went up, we already had the 5. So that's still a possibility that we already had the 5. It's not likely. It's not my favorite count. What I think, if I was gonna put a bet on this, which I do have a bet on this,
Obviously.
yeah, that we're gonna end up, and we're gonna have a fairly sizable bounce off this reversal candle right here.
Right.
So my gut, and based off what I'm looking at in terms of the indicators, showing that we've had a complete washout to the downside. I'm betting that this was a 1 up here. And so we'll just get so we're just saying that this was a 1.
Right.
This was a 2. This was your 3 right here.
Right.
This was your 4 down here. Now, and then this was your 1 up here of 5.
Right.
So, and what that means, you have smaller counts within the larger wave structure. So we could be forming something like this, where we get a 1, a 2 back, the 2 back of this larger wave structure, potentially never close below the previous wave, which in Elliott wave terms, this would satisfy a 1 up, 2 back, and then we could potentially be headed into a 3 of a 5.
Okay.
That could take us, it should double this at least at a minimum. So you're looking at something like this. Let me, there we go. Just clone that. That's not going to let me do it. So we should be looking something like this right here. Go, let me carry it over. Where we get our 3, that takes us all the way up to potentially, 112,000 or 113,000. Now, the reason the reason that this could be a strong possibility is because that would catch everybody off guard. Because everybody's looking at all the bulls got really bearish at these lows here. And the RSI completely capitulated, like we were talking last week. We were at some of the lowest points in the RSI in Bitcoin's history. I mean, there's very few times in Bitcoin's history where you had these type of opportunities to buy with the RSI this low. 1, 2, 3 times just looking at the chart from 2017 to today. So that's that's not a lot of opportunities, right? So if you're a
Right.
whale and you're an institution and you're just now starting to look at this space and you want to start dipping your toe into the space, you're going to start dipping your toe in at a minimum dipping.
And we've known that they've wanted to come in. They've been wanting to come in for a while. So
Right, exactly.
this is the opportunity, and that would make sense for a nice little bounce back,
Right,
supporting the idea that we're in a 3 or 5. So
right, exactly. Yeah, and so I would expect this 3 of 5, if we are indeed in a 3 of 5, I would expect it to have a pretty sharp move up that would take us into probably into, March, the beginning of April
right.
timeframe.
You
And then
think you yeah, go ahead.
no, yeah, and then we could have a pretty, we could form something like this, like an ascending triangle, um, where we could do something like this if this is a 3 of 5, right?
Right,
These things can be pretty sharp.
right.
It could be like that, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
and then we could have a pretty nice size correction for your 4, and then complete the 5 of 5 or something like that.
right.
That's kind of
And
what I'm
and
thinking.
in terms of time frame, so we're looking at maybe 3 or 5 hitting all-time highs around March, April timeline, a correction, and then you're talking about a 5 of 5 by the end of 2022. So
That's
potential,
if this plays
potential,
out for sure. Yeah,
right. So
yeah,
you're talking about a potential of 125 to 150 for Bitcoin by the end, towards the end of the year.
I
Is
would.
that,
Yeah,
is that fair to
that's a
say?
fair statement. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, that, so it's gonna give us, we still have to wait till Friday to see how Bitcoin is gonna perform, don't we?
Well, the weekly this it's already given us a clue right now because we're closing out for the week. Because remember, Bitcoin doesn't close out on Friday; it closes out on Sunday because it's a
Okay,
24/7 market. It's not like the your traditional stuff. In fact, it just closed, and so we're already. It's not like a traditional market where you're going to get gaps and stuff because of market open over the weekend and bullish news over the weekend or bearish news over the weekend. Because it's a 24/7 market, it's not going to do that. It's going to continue to trade all the way through Sunday.
okay,
So so the so this close right here that is a beautiful candle right there.
right,
Like the so that's a nice reversal candle that shows that there's strength in the market. You can now we do have we have resistance. I mean, we're definitely not out of the woods yet, right? Because we got to get back over 40. 40 is just that psychological barrier. Um, so we do have this psychological barrier here, and then we also have to get back above your uh your downward trend line now, which we are testing. We're going to be testing this week.
right.
So I could see something, say in the very immediate, maybe this week, where we wick down, we retest the low point of this wick,
Right,
because the market loves to retest the lows just to solidify the lows.
right,
Then if we can hold that going into either the end of the week or into next week, work our way out of this downward trend line here, and then start the following week or the end of this coming week, um start making a move above 39, and then retest 40, and then hopefully take out 40. And then if we
right,
can decisively take out 40, then we're going to be headed back up to the 200-day moving average, which is this green this green trend line right here.
Right.
And if we can take this out, which is at 50, then we'll go back up. Then we'll retest these all-time new high, the all-time high.
Okay.
So we still have some resistance that we
Right.
have to get past. But the FOMO will start to build once if we can take out 40 decisively on a weekly candle. And then that momentum should take us all the way, hopefully, take out this 200-day moving average. So the 40K and the 200-day moving average are going to be big resistance points.
I think we will take it out.
It's
I
very
think
possible.
Everything that's going on from a macro level, there's a lot of pressure to take it out. I feel that with everything in terms of Ukraine, in terms of China, in terms of Iran, in terms of the US and Biden saying that he wants to regulate and that it's a national security to regulate cryptocurrency. And did you hear this, that they've allowed SEC has approved Boston Exchange to deal in blockchain technology?
What? Oh, you're talking about the you're talking, yeah. You say that, yes. Well, I heard it from you today, actually.
Right, and I have the articles pulled up, but I think with all that's going on, and we can touch base on that if we need to, but like with all that, there's going to be excitement being built. I mean, and there's going to be pressure on, no one's going to be able to hold that price down because there's going to be demand.
As long as nothing crazy happens, that something unforeseen. I mean, you have, they're definitely I like to see how with this Biden, executive order that they're trying to do right now. I know institutions are going to look at it positively because at least they're getting some type of more clarity.
And secure, they're getting the guarantees.
Yeah, but essentially what it's an endless, like one group said, it's an endless checkbook,
right?
For the Treasury, just to do with and they just get to determine what they do and what coins they do like, what coins they don't like, what they see as a
right.
money laundering threat or whatever they perceive as a threat,
There's going to be growing pains for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unavoidable. You're not going to avoid that.
Yeah, and so I could see a lot of
you have to go through that pains, and I mean, the industry is so new. Like you've been in it since what, 2013, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bitcoin came out in 2011.
Yeah,
so, and it took so long for the industry to take a foothold. I came in March of last year. I'm just learning everything, and it's going to take a long time. But the industry is so new for institutions to come in, and they want to come in. They need that framework. They need those guarantees that, like, we're in the wild, wild west right now.
Yeah.
You've seen it. Like when you got me in the game, we started messing with DeFi and farms and pools, and none of those are regulated. Rug pulls happen.
Yeah.
Like we've all experienced those. Those are part of the growing pains. So
yeah. So and just to clarify, Bitcoin started in 2009.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. 2009.
Yeah,
I heard about it. I heard about it in 2011. I do apologize.
Yeah, I think. Well, I don't know if you could have. I don't know how easy it would have been to get it in 09. I think 11 may have been when. I'm not sure exactly. I remember looking at it in 11. And I think it was at like I can't remember. I have to go back and look at the charts. It may have been just a little over $1 or at 5.
It was 99 cents or something like that.
Yeah. But, I should have bought a buttload, but
so, I mean, I have a buddy of mine from England, and he's a programmer, and he kicks himself in the pants too. He's like, I could have bought in at 99. I knew how. He goes, I knew how, I just never did. I thought it was just like whatever. I'm like, oh my
Yeah,
God, are you serious? Like, yes, I could have bought.
just
Damn.
$1,000.
Wow. I mean, I know I screeched right there, and that probably didn't sound right because that would have been just
Yeah.
at this point in time, he would have been just stupid rich,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Same. I mean,
right?
I
Well,
can't
I could have
complain,
bought in at I could have bought in at 99. I just didn't know how. I knew
but,
that, oh, it's out there. I'm like, okay,
but
but how?
yeah, but that's the thing with trading. It's just, it's always going to make you feel it's always it's always making you second guess yourself and making you feel like you're not enough, right? Or you don't have enough. And that's the whole thing.
Right.
It's all a psychological game.
But
The
so it's
or
social science for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think, I feel good where we're at right now in terms of a group and as individuals. I feel fairly well. I mean, I have some risky ones that I take risk on, but
Hmm.
I have to. But I also have some solid ones that I don't own Bitcoin though. I'm not there. For me at this point where I'm at, definitely is not an entry point for Bitcoin. So, but you know, when I do make the returns that I'm hoping to make, then that'll be my storage, including gold and silver, obviously. But yeah,
Now here's one of the new coins that we were talking about. This is GLMR Moonbeam.
oh yeah, I love Moonbeam.
So we won't get too much in the fundamentals, but just the technicals for now, because we don't have, you know, a lot of too much time. But
Yeah, right,
on the daily, I'm looking for. We're definitely oversold on the RSI, and I have my RSI set at a 9.
right,
Um, so this is one that I'll start reaccumulating once this time to mark gets back maybe to a 9, and then I see, and I have it on the Hankanashi candlesticks, and once that Hankanashi turns green again, I'll
so
start
can you real quick just kind of touch base on the time to mark for the audience?
yeah. So I'm not an expert in it by any means, but
Right,
the way time to marks works is that it helps you know, you have to use it with other indicators like anything else, but it helps you know when the trend in a particular direction is becoming exhausted.
right,
And it was developed by Tom DeMark.
right,
And originally, I believe he sold it to institutions. And then it slowly started working its way back, out into the retail world. But you can see a lot of times you'll see when you get a red 9 on a time to mark indicator, that can be an indication of a potential exhaustion in that direction. Now, but you need confirmation. So you can't just get the 9 and then just always buy the 9. You have to have confirmation. As you can see here, we got the 9, but then
right,
we continued further on to the downside. So we're restarting the count all over again. So we're probably going to get another 9 in 3 days, and then we'll wait and see what the price action looks like, and
right,
make a determination if it's now time to start accumulating. But it's these type of nothing's foolproof, right? But
right,
it helps at least, it prevents you from FOMO, and it at least helps say you're short, you can scale out.
right,
Or if you're long, you would get a green 9. It lets you know when to get out.
right.
So
Or you have a target that you want to get out at.
right, and at least it gives you the time element along with all the other analysis that you're looking at. So in time is one of the hardest things to predict when something's going to happen, as opposed to where it's going to happen, what price is going to what price is going to get to. That's easier to determine than when,
Right,
you know um unless it's Bitcoin.
right,
It's a little bit easier with Bitcoin, which is why everybody loves Bitcoin because it's built-in halvings and stuff like that. But so with this token, I'm just sitting and waiting. I bought a lot at right under 10, and I'm just holding those positions, and I'm just in an accumulation mode on
And
this.
you bought it on KuCoin, right?
Yeah, on KuCoin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and just a little bit about the project on Moonbeam is that it runs on, it was it came in through the Polkadot ecosystem. It had its IDO, I think is what they call it, through the Polkadot ecosystem. So it's basically going to be a token that bridges the Ethereum world to the Polkadot world, where coders and programmers can use Moonbeam, from what I understand, and just they'll be able to just the language, I guess, that they use on Moonbeam, or how, I don't know. I'm not a programmer, but from
Right.
just reading stuff in the chats and stuff, it's supposed to make it real easy for the programmers to move to create programs that can work on Ethereum and that can
So it's cross-chain.
yeah,
It's allowing cross-chain projects
yeah,
to save fees, and in terms of security and in terms of speed, and that's sort of the utility of that network, right?
yeah. It's unlocking all of those Ethereum smart contracts that are built on top of Ethereum can now just be implemented on the Polkadot ecosystem. And if you understand Polkadot kind of allows you to where they're trying to build something where you can basically interchange between all blockchains
Right.
that they're working with through Polkadot. So it's going to get interesting, man, because in order for right now, all these chains they're segmented off from one another. And so
Well,
things like
own Dot,
Moonbeam,
yeah.
things like Moonbeam, Polkadot, Cosmos, once we head further into this weird metaverse that everybody's building around us, then
Yeah.
you're going to need these type of projects.
And Shiba's going in there as well.
Yeah,
Shibarium.
yeah,
Their network is going to be called Shibarium or something like that for the metaverse project. So
right. Yeah, we'll see how this. Yeah, so what's going on geopolitically? I know that we have a lot of stuff.
So to go off of last time, so we touched base on Ukraine. I think Ukraine is still the diameter of the market right now, because as we discussed that, we're not going to send troops, and you already have NATO saying that, hey, we're not going to send troops because it's not a NATO country. The US already said we're not going to send troops. Yeah, we've sent troops around to where we're already at, but that's just posturing. So it's just kind of defensive. But we are selling a lot of weapons and lethal weapons. Germany said we're not going to sell lethal weapons. Germany said it's not involving. It has kind of strained NATO's relations a little bit, which as people like to say Putin, but I'm going to say Russia. Russia succeeded in that. But I was watching a very interesting program on French 24, and this political scientist touched base on what I was saying the objective was in the last episode, that that they want, you have certain elements within Ukraine that are going to want to start a conflict with the Donbass region, and within that conflict, they want to bring Russia into the conflict, and hoping that then you would have the Donbass, either taken back by the Ukraine, or if Russia is involved, then declare independence. And if they declare independence, the Ukraine would join NATO, and then you would have NATO forces within Ukraine. So she touched base on that, but on the opposite of that, to where, and let me get her name for you real quick. Uh, it was it was very good, or it's very interesting. All right, it's Anastasia, and I'm sorry, I apologize in advance. I'm just gonna stay with Anastasia. It's Shopshokina. I'm sure I mispronounced that. I apologize.
Right.
But uh, she stated that, okay, within that, uh, they don't want that to happen because, that's an objective for Russia to maintain the status quo because they don't want to give an excuse to the Ukrainians to join NATO. So that allows us to know that there's not that's a countermeasure for Russia to go into a conflict. So, and they're already saying that we're not going into a conflict. We're not interested in a conflict. The Ukrainians are telling the Ukrainians are telling us we're not. The Russians aren't going to come in, but you do have a lot of posturing going on, a lot of sales going on.
No, it's perfect.
Which is you know, which is good news in terms of world peace. We know that it's a game of chess. Uh, so that's comforting. But in terms of the market, that creates more sales, that creates economic movement. Unfortunately, it is the military-industrial complex, but it does affect the market. You will see movement in terms of cryptocurrencies as well as fiat from the Ukraine, from Europe, towards the markets. An interesting thing for that as well is that Biden, we've already kind of touched base on that earlier on, has already said that cryptocurrency regulation is a homeland security or is of national security interest. So we know that they're going to regulate that. We know that SEC gave the Boston Exchange permission to deal in cryptocurrencies, or at least blockchain technology. And interesting on that, hey Thomas, man, I need you to come in on this. We talked about this earlier on when we first started discussing the future of cryptocurrency. And we said that, hey, the stock market, from the future for the stock market is that they no longer issue paper stock. Remember that one?
Right.
So this, I see this as a first step for that. So imagine that, and we kind of touched base on it last time, is that imagine that, imagine that, Ford is issuing tokens. Now you can buy a crypto token, right? A Ford, and that can be bought on the Boston Exchange. So now you're invested. You can spend as much as you want on these crypto tokens that you own, that you keep in your wallet.
Right. Imagine owning a Ford token, man, and you're in like Decentraland or Sandbox Metaverse, right? Or you're in Facebook Metaverse, and you want to buy an NFT in that metaverse, and you don't have, you're like, man, I got a bunch of Ford tokens. I'll give you my Ford token for, the NFT. It's gonna be crazy. It's because everything all of a sudden everything's money and everything has value and everything, everything has some form of interchangeability between, you know what I mean? It's not like you don't have to log into your Charles Schwab account just to be able to like buy and sell things. You can do it anywhere,
Right. Well, or you go into the metaverse and you go into the Ford store that's on Sandland or wherever it may be. And now we're giving them ideas. So if they take this idea, which is, I want to cut, give me my cut, Ford. But let's say that, they issue out those tokens. You don't have to use fiat. You can go buy your F-150, which I like F-150, like a 250 Power Stroke or something, whatever you want to buy, you can go check it out on the metaverse and in their retail shop, right? You see it on the metaverse, you see all the specs, you order what you want. You do, what kind of, move around colors and, I want this, and you collect and push whatever you need. And then you pay in the Ford token.
Hold on. We got a special guest.
I see that. I've been laughing the whole time because Santos, man. I love you, dog. Oh man, you can like I'm trying to say my piece and I'm just cracking up.
Yeah. So unmute your mic.
Unmute Santos eating on our episode 2. Go ahead, man. Let's see what you got.
What's up, guys?
Go ahead, homie.
This is the
I'm just
killer right
listening,
here.
man. I'm just listening and taking in all the knowledge, man, from you OGs, man.
It's the
Oh,
killer right
geez.
here.
That's the boy. That's our
Listen,
dude right there, man. That's Uncle Santos
He's the champ.
to the
just
twins.
listening, man.
Well, we're
just
glad
sitting
to
back.
have you here, man.
I'm just sitting back and just trying to be a little bit more patient, man. That seems to be my issue.
Well, and that's the thing, man. Like a lot of people that are watching, man. Like I tell a lot of my friends, man, just hold. Like they're freaking out. Like, oh my God, she about crash. I'm like, just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Relax. It's the cycle. So
Yeah. And there's nothing honestly that you can do to change. I mean, you're definitely now's not the time to sell.
right. And you're seeing like, I mean, and and we kind of touched base on this. This is also part of the geopolitical. I mean, think of the SWIFT system. Part of our processes as the American government and how we use leverage is the SWIFT system. And for people who don't know, SWIFT system is any kind of transaction that happens in the world, no matter where, has to go through the SWIFT system. So it's a bottleneck. So if we get upset at you, embargo, you can't use the SWIFT. So that, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard about it when we're talking about Russia and doing sanctions and removing them from the international system, which is the SWIFT, the payment processing system. So now I believe XRP wants to replace, or they're going to integrate the SWIFT into XRP, which is also centralized. It can be controlled. But that tells, I mean, these are all elements that if the world is going there, if our banking system or our international commerce is going towards blockchain, and you're seeing these elements of it, these evidence of it, where, okay, we want to regulate. We have a lot of transactions going on. We have a lot of institutions that want to come in. We want to legalize exchanges and regulate exchanges. We want XRP part of their plan. And if is to become the world's SWIFT system, and they're already in talks and in certain agreements, and you can look these up, online, Google it. That's all it takes. All this information is out there. This is not secret, but that's telling you, like, don't worry about these ups and downs. These are going to happen. This is normal, natural.
Yeah, I
If it
think
doesn't happen, something's wrong.
Michael Saylor had a really good quote in terms of volatility, and it made a lot of sense, man. Like I can't remember what program it was on, but he basically said something to the extent of when you were coming over, say, on the Mayflower, right? Or if you're on one of those old wooden boats back in the day, right? Trying to escape to come to America for freedom, right?
Right.
That was freaking volatile. It would have been volatile to get over here, but was it worth the risk? Yes, it was worth the risk, right?
Right.
And so I always, that sticks in my mind every time I think of crypto, man, because it's so volatile. But really, it's the only free market that we truly have. Like it can be more regulated,
right?
But in terms of, it's the most free market that we have right now. And with Bitcoin, it's definitely like
and it's accessible. It's accessible by the masses
for everybody.
You don't have to be a genius. Like I got my mother a trust wallet, right? Like my mother just bubbled up on BTT. Now it's not, the price is not there, but it's still a split. Like her little 15,000 shares become, 150 or 15 million. That's awesome. Why not? You know what I mean? So, and she has them in a trust, and she's not, she's in her 60s, has a trust wallet. Why not? It's easy.
Yep, exactly. I mean, kids, you can have robots can have a wallet, right?
Right.
Yeah, you can have some type of AI is going to be able to have wallets. Kids can have wallets. Like you just have to, anybody can have a wallet. Like I got my nephew set up on Decentraland because I'm trying to teach him a little bit about the metaverse. And he's got himself, a $100 wallet. you know?
Yeah. I mean, eventually I'm going to get my daughter on the wallet once I'm still I'm still kind of, I haven't gotten her a phone. I think it's still too soon for a phone. She's 6 years old. She'll turn 7 in February, but
And it just
what,
makes sense, man. It
yeah,
makes,
I mean, it does. You have to teach them early.
right. But yeah, I don't know. Is anything else that you have on your plate that you're anything on your mind that you've been looking at, tracking or
Well,
anything?
I mean, another interesting thing that happened, and we kind of talked about it, is, so China, which we see and we've said is our competitor now, is our opponent, right?
Mhm.
And as we put pressure on the South China Sea because that's sort of the choke point for the Chinese economy. A lot
Mhm.
of people might not know that, but that's why, it's not freedom of navigation, but whatever the excuse may be, it's a pressure point. But China has announced that Syria has joined the Belt and Road Initiative. So for a lot of people who might not know the Syrian conflict or what they'd like to call the civil war, whatever you want to call it, it's a war of energy. Anything that happens in the Middle East is either about water or energy. So the issue is for Syria is that because it's a crossing point and it's a nice big port, especially Lafayette on the Mediterranean Sea, which is very beautiful. And I have family there. It's kind of extended family, but they're there. Um, is that is gas pipelines, gas and oil pipelines. So you have Qatar, Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, UAE, all want outlets into the Mediterranean, and rather than Israel, which there's we can go into that in many other episodes, but they go through either Lebanon or Syria. Syria is going to be the most kind of the pearl of the prize, the bigger coastline, more infrastructure, cheaper labor, educated labor. They have a fairly strong labor force that's smart and very capable. So now they've joined the Belt and Road Initiative. That means China's going to rebuild Syria. And in terms of energy, those pipelines that are going to come through either Qatar or Iran, and Iran's in the Belt and Road Initiative. Iraq will soon join as well. All that pipelines going into Europe will come through Syria and go through the Bashar Assad's um, uh, government. So he'll tax that as well. What's that mean for the market? Well, that's not necessarily good news for us as Americans because we don't have a taste in that. We don't have our fingers in that yet. It's going to improve the crypto market because a lot of those people that make money, rather than going into the dollar, will go into crypto. But that
Mhm.
means the dollar is not going to be as a reserve of, in my opinion, just based on these events, a reserve of
That's gonna
wealth.
be
So
nasty then. That would be nasty for us.
yeah. So and I'm and I bring that up because the alternative for you is that if that you need cash to live, but you have to see the shift. I mean, this news that indicates that okay, now now that China for the most part has all the countries in line other than Iraq, and Iraq will fall in line. I mean, all those countries in line for their Belt and Road Initiative, and they have an outlet into the Mediterranean to not only trade with Europe but provide energy, a binary source coming from the Middle East as well as Central Asia to China as well as Europe. You know, and that's sort of the Nord Stream 2 issue, the whole Ukraine that ties into Ukraine, the energy resources going into Ukraine. It's a pipeline issue. It's a straight pipeline and energy issue. Providing Europe with natural gas. Um, we can we like to flavor it with other issues, and yes, those are legitimate. No one's saying that they're not, but I mean, what makes the wheel go round is energy and money, right? And that's sort of where power is. So this indicates the shift from the west to the east, and I hate to say that, but for us as Westerners living in the Western Hemisphere, we have to look. Okay, well, all right, if the dollar is soon to be replaced, people are already, so the East is already trading within their own current currencies, such as China and Russia. They do their trade with their current currency. India is involved in that as well. Iran's involved in that as well. Now they have an outlet into Europe. Italy's already part of the road and the Belt and Road Initiative. They've already signed paperwork. What's that mean for the dollar? And now for us going into crypto, that means people are will go into digital currency. The US might say, okay, let's create a centralized federal coin, which you've touched base on. Remember that, Thomas?
Oh, yeah.
So these are all leading to, okay, hey, the fiat is going to go. So, hey, guys, like this to me, and this is just my own personal opinion, based on what I see. And we've touched base on this a couple of years back. You and I, we've delved into this and my concerns with the fiat system. That's why I've started going into crypto, because everything is indicating, unfortunately for us, is that the fiat is.
Well, I don't think they have as much control as people, people originally gave them credit for in terms of the powers that be. I think their last grasp at controlling the system is trying to transition over to this digital system in a way that people, the majority of people are going to accept it. And right now, if the trend continues with what we're seeing in like Canada, and if things like that start to spread in terms of the truckers,
In terms of the what?
the truckers in Canada.
Oh,
But and so that's not just
what about the truckers? I don't.
okay. So they're. I mean, have you not seen this? Man, you gotta check this out, man.
Apparently not.
There's it's just miles and miles and miles and miles of truckers going on, basically striking because the Trudeau mandated that they take the vaccine, and they basically just said no. And it's not that a lot of them may even be against the vaccine. It's just that a lot of them are for free. At some point you got to have a choice, right? At some point you got to have freedom of choice too.
Right.
So, and people are just tired of it. They want to go back to work. They're just tired.
Well, and if you noticed in Europe, the Netherlands, England, all of them, they've already started reversing COVID restrictions. So so that's the thing. If once it happens in Europe, it eventually comes to the US. So it'll hit New York soon. So yeah, like these people are fed up.
They're fed up.
Which I'm vaccinated. I'm not gonna say, like, I'm not anti-vaccine, I'm
right.
pro-vaccine. I'm vaccinated myself. My parents are vaccinated. It's
right.
your choice.
But
I'm not, but I'm just saying that, right.
It's gotten to the point where it's just it's not even about the vaccine anymore, right? It's about people just want to move on. They just want to back.
They're done with the restrictions.
And they're tired of pointing fingers at each other, and it's just it's becoming more about people on an individual level can learn how to work their way around COVID. It's going to be with us for the rest of our life, with or without the vaccine. We're going to have a vaccine, but with the vaccine,
so we're going to live with it. So
we're going to be living with
something to be
right. We're not going to go to eradicate a virus like this.
I think So I think people are ready to move on, but that's something. I mean, that's controversial, right? This is a subject matter that's very controversial. People are very passionate about. You feel whichever way you want to feel about it. Like I said, I'm vaccinated. You do what you do.
The reason I'm bringing it up. The reason I'm bringing it up is because it's not, to me, it's not really just about COVID. It's about It's about people are not.
It's about
it's not about the vaccine. It's not about COVID. It's about people are tired of the system. Ultimately, there's something subconscious going on there that's bubbling to the surface of society, where people are tired of being controlled and they want freedom. You know what I mean? And it's not in the US, it's easy for us just to like sit back and kick back, but we take a lot of things for granted here, and in other countries, you're starting to see things bubble up. and it's starting to take to me, it looks like it's starting to take hold. Like the what
I
you're seeing in
think,
Australia, New
right. Well,
Netherlands,
Australia went to the extreme though.
right?
Australia went to the extreme.
It's
So
but
we in
that
the state, we didn't go to that extreme.
no, but that's what wakes people up, right? When you go to that
Right.
extreme, people start getting
Right,
they
right. I
it's
think
crap.
within the states, we'll eventually, we've handled it. I mean, people can have their opinion on it.
So now it's going to come
Yeah.
down to money too, right? Because now they're going to be pushing their version of their money out to us, just
Right.
like and so it's just a I just find the events very let's just say timely because it's gonna,
There's no such thing as coincidence. That's what you're
right,
saying,
it's gonna
right?
but it's gonna be
I
very,
agree that like in anything,
right,
there's
it's
coincidence
gonna
doesn't exist.
it's gonna be very difficult for them to push out, say, a digital currency that that's a central bank's control when everybody's pissed off at the system to begin with, right? Especially when the system isn't working for them. Like it's one thing to, like we were talking about China last week, like in order for that system to work, a communist system to work, man, the government better provide for you. Because if it stops providing for you, what's the point
Well,
of having that communist system?
we're definitely in a transition phase to see like we still have to get more data so we can analyze what direction that we're going to go in, right? So that and COVID is definitely being used as a mechanism for change. You can definitely say,
Exactly.
which way that we're going to
Beyond the
change, we
virus.
don't know. Well,
Right.
of course, like that's just normal
No,
politics.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's like that's not bad or good. That's how things happen. Like you have an outbreak of something, you have people being outraged, you have the pendulum swing one way or the other,
Right.
and people are going to take advantage of it. And government or the system is interested in supporting the system. So,
Right.
I mean, that goes without saying. But
But here's my
but that's
point.
more reason for you as an individual and as a citizen to look at your alternatives, right? So the dollar is a means of control.
Right. And here's
Right.
my point, right? As we get these decentralized systems, as more people develop build these systems out like Luna, Moonbeam, the Polkadot ecosystem,
Right.
Ethereum, all these things get built out, at what I see a future, especially with AI and blockchain and
Right.
metaverse, all this stuff happening, digital, everything becomes money all of a sudden.
Speaking about AI, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it almost ends up becoming, what's the point of it, we don't need as much institutional middlemen. Like we just don't, and we don't need as much government middlemen. Now you do need government you definitely need that. You definitely need
You have to have
judge
government.
and jury, right? You need that.
Right. You
But
have to
but you don't
because you
need
cannot depend on the market to do it by itself.
let
You
me
never
put it
will.
this way. You
Right.
don't need you won't need a title company. You're not going to need a title.
Right.
You're not gonna need the banks. You're not gonna need a bank. Like
Well, that's sort of
just
that's the concern right now that they're trying to bridge.
right. And I don't see it. I don't see it working, man. I just don't see it happening.
They'll each industry has to adapt. I mean, that's capitalism, right?
Right.
So if you believe in capitalism, which obviously we do, right? Because we're in crypto. How else? What else? That's venture capitalism in its best, right? These banks and these other institutions have to find a way to survive, right?
Yeah.
Robinhood, for example, has to find a way to survive. Them offering whatever crypto that they're offering is not enough. So all these exchanges, all these banks, everyone has to find a way to survive. And like you said, I wanted to tie back, like for AI. Now you have certain cryptocurrencies, and you have certain chains that are using AI to figure out the scam coins, right? To figure out the scam project,
That's
right?
cool. Right.
Yeah, like SafeBuy, for example, which is a new project, right? That's their AI is meant to find scam anything that's scam on their network, and it prevents it. It just kicks it off the blockchain because it has certain technology or certain learning mechanisms that it identifies that. And so that's awesome, right? So you have these projects that are coming out, you know, say, like I said, SafeBuy is one of them. I'm sure there's going to be more. So these are all going, with government regulations, which we do need. And I am a supporter of government regulations. No matter how somebody feels about government, you need somebody to be the administrator, right? So with government regulations on one hand and AI on the other hand, hopefully, this industry becomes cleaner, more trusted, to where more institutional money comes in, to where I can put my mother, more of my mother's money in. If she'd be like, hey, go ahead and buy that, or you can, these are another means for people to have a side gig, a side hustle, right? So all these, I think, with the geopolitical, the negative and the positive, like we said, that the whole Syria joining the Belt and Road is good for Syria and good for China, but it's not necessarily good for the U.S., right? Russia not wanting the Donbass to become independent and maintain Ukrainian integrity might not be good for the Ukraine, but it's good for the U.S. because that means that we know that they're not going to go to war. So these things, balance each other out. But it does indicate that the future is digital currency. How they determine how, where and when and what we go into is yet to be seen, but this is a good start.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, obviously I'm right there with you. The let's see, we're probably about, let's see, where are we at? I don't have a timer on my end.
It's been about an hour and 15, so we need to.
Yeah, we can ramble, man.
Yeah,
We
no,
probably need
let's-
to cut this.
We want to put it at an hour, so this part
Yeah.
we're going to cut out. So
Yeah,
obviously,
let's just go ahead and cut it. And then let's
let's meet afterwards. Just kind of see what's up, man. Okay.
yeah, we'll meet up next week. And yeah,
Alright.
yeah, me and you can meet like right after. I'll go ahead and cut this now. We'll just
So let's cut this down and just kind of clean this up. Okay.
all right, but
I'm gonna leave.
all right, man. Me too.
All right.